the date. Savai Bhagavato Raja. Savai Bhagavato Raja. Pandaveyo Maharata. Pandaveyo Maharata. Balakridan Kai Kridan. Balakridan Kai Kridan. Krishna Kridam Yadade. Krishna Kridam Yadade.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Pandaveyo Maharataha.
Pandaveyo Maharata.
Balakridana Kai Kridan.
Kridan. Kridan.
Krishna Kridam Yadade.
Krishna Kridam Yadade.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Pandaveyo Maharataha.
Pandaveyo Maharata.
Balakridana Kai Kridan.
Balakridana Kai Kridan.
Krishna Kridam Yadade.
Krishna Kridam Yadade.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Pandaveyo Maharataha.
Pandaveyo Maharata.
Balakridana Kai Kridan.
Balakridana Kai Kridan.
Krishna Kridam Yadade.
Krishna Kridanya Adade.
Sa Bhagavato Raja.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Pandaveyo Maharataha.
Pandaveyo Maharata.
Bala Kritanai Kai Kritan.
Balakridana Kai Kridan.
Krishna Kridam Ya Adade.
Krishna Kridanya Adade.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Pandaveyo Maharata.
Kai Kridan.
Bhagavato Raja.
Savai Bhagavato Raja.
Krishna Kridam.
Sa he. Vai certainly. Bhagavata, a great devotee of the Lord. Raja Maharaj Priskit. Pandave Krida Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Priskit, the grandson of the Pandavas, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even a person who has failed in the proper discharge of yoga practice is given a chance to take birth in the house of devout brahmanas or in the houses of rich men like Kshetra kings or rich merchants. But Maharaj Priskit was more than that because he had been a great devotee of the Lord since his previous birth. And as such, he took his birth in an imperial family of the Kurus, and especially that of the Pandavas. So from the very beginning of his childhood, he had the chance to know intimately the devotional service of Lord Krishna in his own family. The Pandavas, all being devotees of the Lord, certainly venerated family deities in the royal palace for worship. Children who appear in such families, fortunately, generally imitate such worship of the deities, even in the way of childhood play. By the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, we had the chance of being born in a Vaishnava family. And in our childhood, we imitated the worship of Lord Krishna by imitating our father. Our father encouraged us in all respects to observe all functions, such as the Rath Yatra and Dola Ratra ceremonies. And he used to spend money liberally for distributing prasad to us children and our friends. Our spiritual master, who also took birth in a Vaishnava family, got all inspirations from his great father, Thakur Bhaktivinoda. That is the way of all lucky Vaishnava families. The celebrated Mirabai was a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna as the great lifter of Govardhan Hill. The life history of many such devotees is almost the same because there is always symmetry between the early lives of all great devotees of the Lord. According to Jiva Goswami, Maharaj Prisket must have heard about the childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna at Vrindavan, for he used to imitate the pastimes with his young playmates. According to Sridhar Swami, Maharaj Prisket used to imitate the worship of the family deity by elderly members. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also confirms the viewpoint of Jiva Goswami. So accepting either of them, Maharaj Prisket was naturally inclined to Lord Krishna from his very childhood. He might have imitated either of the above mentioned activities, and all of them established his great devotion from his very childhood. A symptom of a Mahabhagavat, such Mahabhagavats are called Nitya Siddhas, or souls liberated from birth. But there are also others who may not be liberated from birth, but who develop a tendency for devotional service by association, and they are called sadhana siddhas. There is no difference between the two in the ultimate issue. And so the conclusion is that everyone can become a sadhana siddha, a devotee of the Lord, simply by association with pure devotees. The concrete example of our great spiritual master, Sri Narada Muni, in his previous life, he was simply a boy of a maidservant, but through the association with great devotees, he became a devotee of the Lord of his own standard, unique in the history of devotional service. Yeah, so there's some very good examples. They're given here the early life of Vaishnava, great devotees, that they will we have many activities like this, Krishna killing so many demons after. So the business, right? He's saying basically then Srila Prabhupada Leela Amrita, there's the description given there that they can hear the ding, 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 ding. Gaur Mohan would come home and do artik after he came home late at night, after his duties in the merchant's shop. He would put out some rice for the mice or rats so they wouldn't chew up the cloth and lock up the shop and come home and do artik. So they're saying perhaps this influenced Srila Prabhupada to ask for deities. So his father Gaur Mahan, he did purchase deities. So Srila Prabhupada and his sister, they would also ring the bell and offer their artik. Prabhupada was saying our our daughter, the daughter of Shamasundar, yeah, he said she does arti. She worships the Lord, and then she comes and offers me the articles, offers me the arti like that, and he was giving another example too. And I saw this when I was in Los Angeles. It was during the Rath Yatra period, and I was doing some art project in the parking lot. And I was right there on Watsika. There's a big parking lot on the corner, big lot. And the Gurukul children, and and the mothers were there. They had the Rath Yatra cart. It's just a small one, and they're chanting Hare Krishna, and they're pulling the cart along. And they have Lord Jagannath on the cart, little small deities, and then all of a sudden the cart stopped. I thought maybe it hit like one of the cracks on the sidewalk or something, but it was actually Jagannath's Leela that during the Rath Yatra festival, when they're pulling the carts, the Rath Yatra cart will stop, and you can't pull it. You can pull and pull and pull, but Lord Jagannath, he's not going to go until he's ready. You can make sure the wheels aren't locked up. You make sure that all the obstructions are removed, and have kirtan, right? And then the cart will start to move. So the cart stopped. I thought it like pretty much just hit a crack on the sidewalk or something, but they couldn't pull it. And it was just a little small cart, and there was more children than there were in the cart. And they're chanting Hare Krishna, and some of the other devotees are going, "Oh, what's up?" Rath Yatra says, "Yeah," and the cart stopped. And they go, "Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol." Right? They go, "Chant Hare Krishna, chant Hare Krishna." Dance. And then the cart started going, and they were really jubilant. They're going, "This is Lord Jagannath's pastime." The cart stopped. So that was like, so Gaur Mahan, he also bought a Rath Yatra cart for Srila Prabhupada, and they held Rath Yatra. Then the adults in the neighborhood, they go, "Oh, so you're having a great Rath Yatra Krishna festival, and you don't invite me?" and so they donated. They made donations. The descriptions given there in Srila Prabhupada Leela Amrita. So in a really good example of this, we're reading in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. First canto pretty much builds up the history of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Narada Muni was a great Gandharva in the heavenly planets, very beautiful and very opulent, but he actually insulted the Brahmana priest. He, at that time, he was singing some material heavenly planet material songs of love, and, cinema songs like that. So he didn't exactly fit into the right category, or maybe didn't have the right idea of a proper Sankirtan glorifying the Lord, the Lord Narayan or Krishna. So this was out of place, and it disturbed and angered the Brahmanas that were putting on the festival. So they cursed Narada Muni as the Gandharva to take birth as a Shudra. So he took the birth as a maidservant. And I guess apparently because she was a maidservant and served many people in the hotel, apparently she doesn't know who his father was. So this was his position, a very low position as a Sudra. And but the great Brahmanas, the great Bhakti Vedantas, had traveled through their village and stayed at their inn, and Narada Muni had the opportunity of serving them. And he said, and just once, with their permission, I took remnants of their foodstuffs. And he developed an affinity, a taste for hearing and chanting, glorifying the Supreme Lord Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada was giving an example of sadhana siddhas. A great example is Narada Muni. So Narada Muni is a great spiritual master within the line of disciplic succession. He received the Vedic knowledge from Brahma. And Narada Muni, when he became enlightened, it was exactly like thunder and lightning simultaneously occurring. We had some lightning and thunderstorms that came through here. It was getting louder and louder, and it was, the flashes, and it was like right here, like passing like right over us, like right here, and it even sounded like a jet or something, some sort of like really heavy duty electrical charges were going on, like that. Did you notice that last week? I think it was last week or the week before. And so this was what happened when Narada Muni became enlightened. It was like thunder and lightning occurring simultaneously. So so that's the power of thinking about Krishna, hearing about Krishna. So the previous verse, we were talking about how one is always hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's Krishna consciousness. One develops an affinity for hearing and chanting. And in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, states that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the only means of conquest for this age of Kali. So this is the actual remedy to combat or counteract the effects of the age of Kali. So here, Srimad Bhagavatam are great length topics of Godhead. So many different incarnations are mentioned. And let's see, there's probably some other things I also wanted to mention too. So yeah, sadhana siddhis, that would be our position also, by the practice of sadhana bhakti, following 4 rules, regulations under the instruction of the spiritual master, and engaging in devotional service. And there's the do's and the do nots. There's the niyamas and the yamas. So it's like, don't do this, but do this. So don't eat meat, but take Krishna prasadam. Like that, that way control the tongue. So in the next verses that'll be coming up, it's like, what is the use of having eyes, or the use of breathing? If you're not seeing the form of the Lord, or glorifying the Lord, or your legs are just like tree trunks if you not walk to go to holy places. So it's just like a decorated dead body. So Prabhupada was mentioning that also in the lecture in this verse, is that in the material world, they're just decorating their dead body. And so what is the use if someone has died, they're deceased? They actually do this for an open casket. I guess, what is it? It's the wake or the funeral. They'll try to make the person look natural. Everybody always says it doesn't look like him, but they try to kind of fix it up a little bit. But Prabhupada was saying, what's the use? You take your dead body and put scents on it, and scented oils, style its hair, put on, brand new, expensive, opulent clothing, Prabhupada was giving so many different examples. He's going, but what's the use of this decorating of the dead body? It's useless. Someone. So he says that's what our society actually really is. It's basically really a dead body. It's only engaging in no good activities. They're only up to no good. They're politicians. They don't know what's to be done or how to do it. They want to do things their own way. There's already prescriptions already given in the Vedas and in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Pious activities would be excavating roads and digging ditches and developing parks with lakes and swans and ducks. But so they do have these things. Prabhupada was saying, in your country, when I visit all over the world, I come to your country, very nice roads, very nice, everything opulent, but it's all a bunch of zeros. There's Christians not included. It's just, it's all sinful activity. It's ugra karma. They're actually gliding back down to hell. Prabhupada was saying the same thing about the professional reciters who recite Bhagavatam or Ramayana or Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita. that they don't have the proper explanations. And Maharaj was mentioning this too the other night. And then I also had heard that you guys were watching Mahabharata. And I noticed this before, and I had this discussion, is that they kind of like make it more like a satire, or a soap opera, where they kind of add a little more filler dialogue, something that's not actually really in Mahabharata, like that, or what I saw in the Krishna movie. And it said, based on Krishna book by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, right? And I had heard that the producers, they had to ask Srila Prabhupada if they can make a movie of Krishna book. And Prabhupada was thinking, well, how can you make a movie of Krishna books? He's kind of thinking like that. But apparently they made the movie. But they changed some of the details where when Krishna, he breaks the yogurt pots and feeds it to the monkeys, and he's eating it himself. He was placed. First he was on the Mother Yasoda's lap, and he was nursing, and was very happy and comfortable. But the milk boiled over on the stove, and so Mother Yasoda put Krishna down and ran to the stove. So Krishna got angry by this and broke the yogurt pots, But in the movie, Krishna comes in and jumps on the bed and says, I'm going to break the yogurt pots like that. So that wasn't actually the Leela. That was, So they kind of changed some of the details a little bit. But it was a nice episode, though. Krishna was tied to the grinding mortar by Mother Yasoda. And then he pulled down the 2 Arjun trees, and the 2 demigods came out, Nala, Kuvera. We were reading this in 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, just before we began the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. So there's so many past times that we had read. Krishna killed the cart demon. It was like a ghost in the cart. He just very, very missed. He kind of like missed, just hardly even hit the wheel of the cart, and the cart burst apart. And Krishna was a very, very small, tender infant size and age, and very, very tender feet. So this is Krishna's strength. There's extraordinary strength that Krishna has. And so then there's we're reading about how Brahma stole the cows and cowherd boys, and in Brahma's own time, in just one moment, he came back to look, right? But it was actually like a year of our time. And Krishna, he's enjoying there with the cowherd boys and the cows and calves just like before. So Brahma looks back, and they're still sleeping. They're in the cave. They're sleeping. And so Brahma was bewildered by this, and then all the cowherd boys and cows and calves, they all became 4-armed Vishnu forms like that. So then Brahma can actually understand that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead like that. So then bases, obeisances. But the description was given there. All the cows were more affectionate to their calves, and all of the parents of the cowherd boys, they were more affectionate to their boys than before. When they would return from the fields, they'd smell their head. So there's a description there that in India, they'll smell the child's head. They know that the child is safe. Or when Krishna was saved by a great calamity, like the wind demon, Krishna killed the wind demon actually, but they would pray to Lord Narayan for that Krishna was safe, and praise the Lord that way, and take their yak-tail fans, and they would fan Lord Krishna for his protection. And so they had these different rituals for Krishna's protection. And so we were reading about all that, how Krishna and Putana took the fight outside. Or Putana became a very, very large demon, assumed a regular form. She walked right through the village as a very, very beautiful woman, and went to the house of Nanda Maharaj and asked to nurse baby Krishna. And And then she becomes the big demon. She had put poison on her breast so that she could try to kill the baby Krishna. So Krishna killed her. There's sucking the life air out of her. And she assumed a great big gigantic form. So they took it outside like that. So Maharaj had presented that detail. And it says there, is there any topics for discussion? Maharaj would like to make a comment.
The pastimes of Krishna in his youth were known by the other devotees as well as Vrindavan. Bhishma Dev, when he was defending Lord Krishna's position, because the enemies of Krishna criticized him that he was dancing with others while he was lusty, so many girlfriends. But Bhishma said, I'm known as a brahmachari. I took a vow as a brahmachari, but I'm not as great a brahmachari as Krishna, because I could not have controlled my senses in that association, whereas Krishna did. So his pastimes were known. The Dwarka devotees also know. Even the queens were quite aware of Krishna's relationship with the gopis, and they held it in high esteem. So the devotees, they always appreciate all of Krishna's pastimes as completely moral, whereas the non-devotees, they sometimes criticize that Krishna's childhood pastimes are immoral. They're teaching him how to steal. He's a thief, and he's stealing others' wives at night and playing on his flute and dancing, doing all these things. Sometimes the so-called moralists say that how can you worship this person as God? He's acting not even according to moral principles. So that's the specialty of Krishna, is that his pastimes can only be understood by the devotees. And non-devotees are advised first to read Bhagavad Gita, and after that, study the 9 cantos of Bhagavatam before coming to the 10th canto of Krishna's pastimes, because they won't understand. They'll think they're just mundane. So one has to get a little purified by hearing Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita and the other topics given in the Bhagavatam that are meant to purify those who are still on the platform of Rajagun and Tamagun.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, those are some really nice comments. Stated in Krishna book in 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, and stated even the demigods are bewildered by Krishna's activities. Krishna, his hands of the description where he had prasadam with yogurt and prasadam on his hands. It's the same hands that he's eating with, and he's sharing his prasadam with a cowherd voice. Generally, this is never done. We don't do this. This isn't Vaishnava etiquette. But Krishna, he supersedes all of morality, transcendental morality. Jai Gaura Nitai Ki Jai. I believe Prabhupada was speaking about that. But yeah, only devotees, they can actually understand the internal meanings of this, actually, is that this is actually how Krishna displays himself. But he's everything that Krishna does is all good. A lot of his activities were beneficial in a number of ways. It's kind of like, when he's killing a demon, he was kind of like killing 2 birds with one stone, because it inadvertently also had another positive effect along with it, like that. And so everything was just all good. Or how he tricked, who was a demon? His name was Kali Ramana. He tricked him to touch his own head because he's saying that Lord Shiva's benedictions aren't any good. So why don't you test the benediction? Because the demon got the benediction from Lord Shiva that he wanted to destroy, shatter anyone's head whom he would touch. And then he wanted to touch Lord Shiva's head. So this is like the etiquette of the demons, actually. It's like, okay, thank you very much, and now I'll kill you. There's a story, again, become a mouse. So there was a mouse. He was a great saintly holy person. He says, oh, please help me. There's the cat. So the saintly person said, well, what do you want? He says, well, make me a cat. So I made him a cat. So then the cat comes back and goes, oh, man, can you please help me again? He says, why? What's wrong? He says, well, now there's the dog. He said, well, what do you want? Well, he says, well, make me a dog. So then he comes back and goes, oh, can you please help me? He says, what's wrong? He says, well, now there's the lion. He says, well, what do you want? He says, well, make me a lion. So then the lion's looking at the saintly person. He's starting, Prabhupada was giving this example, narrating the story. The lion's starting to lick his jaws, and he's looking at the saintly person. And the saintly person says, oh, you want to eat me? And the lion says, yes. He says, oh, become a mouse. What was it? Like that. I guess I can't think of the Sanskrit at the moment. Again, become a mouse. But that was so that's the position. That's everyone's position, actually. Oh, become a mouse. So what we want to do is make sure that we follow the instructions of the spiritual master and not think that you can step over the spiritual master's head. Like as the Mayavadis do, they no longer need their spiritual master, reject the spiritual master at one point, like that. So that's not proper etiquette. That Krishna wants to be approached by approaching the spiritual master. Tadvidi Panapatena, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, that just approach a spiritual master, learn the truth. The spiritual master can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth, like that. So this is our position. This is our, Prabhupada was saying, develop the Shastra Chakshusha, to see through the eyes of Shastra, like that. But hearing the Shastra, always thinking about the Shastra. Prabhupada was giving an example how in the village they would hear Ramayana and Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam, even like late at night. And so they go home and dream Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Bhagavatam. So that even in your dreams, always thinking about Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada was also giving the, explaining Maharaj Parikshit's position as Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu and Uddara. So Prabhupada was mentioning here, or in the translation also, is that Maharaj Parikshit is the grandson of the Pandavas. So that's Prabhupada was saying that this is Subhadra, the sister of Krishna and Baladev. So it's the same Subhadra as Jagannath's deities. And he had the great fortune of taking birth in the family of the Pandavas, being the grandson of the Pandavas, being born of Abhimanyu and Uddara. And not only that, but during the Mahabharata war, Asvatam had released his Brahmastra weapon. And this was in retaliation that they were chasing him to find him because he had performed a heinous deed of killing the children of the Pandavas while they were small children, while they were just still babies. And not even the Kurus had agreed with this, is that they also took this to be a heinous act. No one was satisfied with Asvatham's actions. So they're chasing Asvatham and they wanted to kill him, and he released a Brahmastra weapon. The Brahmastra weapon was specifically to kill Maharaj Prishket in the womb. So, in fact, this is like a retaliation because they had actually removed Asvatham's jewel and cut all the hair off of his head and severely chastised him. They were going to kill him. But Draupadi said, "Oh no, he's a Brahmana. Brahmana should obviously be respected, shouldn't be killed." So he was disgraced, and as good as dead by removing his jewel and cutting off his hair and removing his royal garments. So Maharaj Prishket had seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead come save him from the glaring effulgence of the Brahmastra. So Maharaj, he was also mentioning this also, is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, that Maharaj Prishket was always after this beautiful form whom he saw, who came to save him from the glaring effulgence. He was always attracted and always after that beautiful form of Krishna. Like that. So this is Maharaj Prishket's position, as well as Krishna conscious, even from before he even took his birth within the womb. So are there any other questions or comments or anything else we can mention? Okay, Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam class ki Jai.
Okay. I will.
So we'll announce some of the scores from the traveling devotees. So we have Rishi Kumar Prabhu, as well as Krishnendu Prabhu's scores here. And then we have the RVC totals. So they are first and second position, and coming in second position with 39 Maha Big Books, 37 Big Books, 31 Medium Books, and 37 Small Books, for a total of 139.5 Transcendental Book Points. Krishnendu Prabhu.
Hello.
And in first position with 43 Maha Big Books, 43 Big Books, 57 Medium Books, and 65 Small Books, for a total of 173.75 book points. Rishu Kumar Prabhu.
Hello.
And we don't have stories yet, but we do have the totals for RVC. So for this week, we have 115 Maha Big Books, 130 Big Books, 95 Medium Books, and 115 Small Books, for a total of 436.25 book points.
Hello.
Hare Krishna.